Good afternoon, friends. Let's discuss another movie, Snow White. Disney's Snow White 2025 has been one of the most talked about live action remakes in recent years. Ever since its announcement, it has sparked excitement, curiosity, and controversy. As a remake of the first ever Disney animated feature, this film carries the weight of history and nostalgia, making it a major cinematic event. The original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs 1937 was a groundbreaking film that set the foundation for Disney's success, bringing enchanting animation, memorable songs, and a timeless fairy tale to life. Now, decades later, Disney attempts to reimagine this classic for a new generation. But does it live up to expectations, or does it struggle under the pressure of modern storytelling? In this review, we'll dive into what makes this new version stand out, what works, what doesn't, and whether it's worth watching. One of the strongest aspects of the film is its visual appeal. The cinematography and CGI create a stunning fairy tale world that feels both nostalgic and new. The kingdom is vibrant, the enchanted forest is breathtaking, and the costumes are intricately designed to reflect a mix of classic and contemporary styles. The set design is impressive, blending realism with fantasy in a way that makes the world feel immersive. The film embraces a more realistic yet magical aesthetic, making it a treat for the eyes. The musical score is another highlight, blending reimagined versions of classic songs with new compositions that add depth to the story. Fans of the original will recognize familiar melodies, but they have been modernized to fit the new tone of the film. Some of the new songs help flesh out the characters, giving more emotional weight to their journeys. The performances are another talking point, with the lead actress bringing a different but compelling take on Snow White. Unlike the original version, where Snow White was sweet, gentle, and somewhat naive, this Snow White is more independent and strong willed. The film leans heavily into making her a leader rather than just a damsel in distress. She has her own dreams and ambitions beyond romance, which some will appreciate as a necessary update, while others might find it strays too far from the original character's charm. The Evil Queen, on the other hand, is a standout. She is not only visually striking but also delivers a captivating performance. Her motivations are explored in more depth, making her a more complex villain rather than just a jealous stepmother. The relationship between Snow White and the Evil Queen has more tension and development, adding to the stakes of the story. Despite its strengths, the movie does have its flaws. One of the biggest criticisms is the deviation from the original story. While adaptations are expected to introduce new elements, some changes feel forced rather than organic. The removal or reimagining of the dwarfs sparked controversy before the film's release, and seeing the final product might not satisfy those who loved the original seven characters. The decision to modernize certain aspects of the tale feels like an attempt to appeal to contemporary audiences, but it sometimes comes at the cost of the fairy tale magic that made the original special. Another issue is pacing. Certain scenes feel rushed, while others drag on longer than necessary, making the movie feel uneven. Additionally, some of the humor and dialogue seem targeted at modern sensibilities, which could either be refreshing or distracting depending on the viewer's perspective. Some audiences might find that the film tries too hard to send a message rather than simply telling an enchanting story, which could take away from the fairy tale experience. So, why should you watch Snow White 2025? If you're a fan of Disney remakes and enjoy seeing classic tales brought to life in a new way, this film is worth checking out. It offers a visually rich experience with strong performances and a bold attempt to redefine a well known character. For younger audiences, this Snow White presents a more relatable heroine, one who is not just waiting to be saved but takes charge of her own destiny. The movie attempts to give more depth to the characters, making them feel more fleshed out and relevant to today's world. However, if you are deeply attached to the original's charm and simplicity, you might find the changes frustrating. The 1937 film was a groundbreaking achievement in animation, with the timeless innocence that some feel in the original dwarfs. The classic songs and the fairy tale romance are iconic elements that have been significantly altered or removed in this version. The biggest difference between this remake and the old movie lies in its approach to storytelling. The 1937 Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was a straightforward fairy tale with a clear moral and a classic happily ever after. It was light-hearted and whimsical with an innocent and simple narrative structure. The 2025 version, however, aims to be more inclusive, deeper, and self-aware. reflecting modern values and perspectives. Snow White is given more agency, the villain has more layers, and the whole story has more complexity. Whether that makes it a better or worse film depends on personal preference. Some will appreciate the added depth, while others may feel that it loses the timeless fairytale quality that made the original so beloved. In the end, Snow White 2025 is a bold reimagining that will divide audiences. It brings fresh ideas and modern themes while losing some of the simplicity and charm of the original. It's a movie that some will love for its ambition and others will critique for straying too far from what made Snow White a classic in the first place. It's not just a remake, it's a reinvention, and whether that's a good or bad thing depends on what you're looking for in a Snow White adaptation. If you're open to new interpretations of classic stories, it's worth watching to see how Disney has reimagined this fairy tale for a new generation. If you're a purist who cherishes the original, this version might not be for you. Regardless of which side you fall on, it's definitely a film that sparks conversation, making it worth watching at least once.